Dragonshire.
They are. They're doing the salty run back. So we see a lot of teams do this, surprisingly more often than in Smash or other fighting games where stages are a big pick. It just seems like teams will like to do this just for the situation of just trying to change their strategy up by quite a bit and just saying, no, it's not the map. I had nothing to do with it. It's just we just need to mix our strategy up a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll throw something different at you guys, see how you react to it. So that's probably what they're going for here. We see this type of thing pretty often with SMG. If they lose the game, they'll go right back to that same map, and it's a bit of a power play. You know, they're trying to get into the heads of the other team. Say, don't think you're strong here. Just slipped up a little bit. We'll try something else.
Ban Stitches, no surprise there. That's going to be Murlocs Inc. taking Stitches out here.
Yep, and that is, of course, probably the strongest warrior right now. Do we see a follow-up ban on Arthas? Although, geez, I mean, Arthas has been quite neglected today.
Yeah, I mean, the other styles have been working. We've been seeing crazy lockdown even without Arthas. I think we've seen Arthas played, what, once? Wow, which team is Murlocs Inc. though? I mean,
it might be the one that's labeled Murlocs Inc.
Okay, good.
Good
so
thing you
Murlocs.
labeled it.
So many Murlocs on the screen right now. The shenanigans are real out of our players. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to see Arthas again. I think it's weird that we haven't seen a lot of Arthas.
Yeah, he's like kind of seems like a rare pick, and there's other tanks that have been picked up. So yeah.
Yeah, we run this city, Bob. They're saying in chat, and right now, Arthas has been kind of slept on a little bit, but the stuff we're seeing out of Tyrael and the stuff we're seeing even Muradin has been quite strong. ETC play seems hit or miss with the dance for sure.
Yeah, some teams can make it work out, but he only really works as like a very last pick. You look at the sense like, what stuns do they have? Okay,
yeah.
not so much. We can probably pull this off. So.
And, well, kind of just waiting to see what the pick's going to be here. Kubi laying down the law, saying 30 seconds on the timer. Eventually, the in-game draft should be more flexible, and we're able to use the actual in-game draft system rather than our makeshift draft that we've created here for our productions. And that will force a timer on there. Yeah, I know there's definitely other tools that exist, but presently this is what we're going with. Ban Tassadar is going to be the next ban here.
And immediately, Murlocs Inc. chooses to pick up Tychus, say, hey, you're not going to ban him, we'll grab him. That was the case last game. They swapped up their ban a little bit. They want to get rid of that Tassadar. And we do see that first pickup on Tychus, so okay, makes sense. Strong first pickup, a lot of damage, difficult to deal with that Odin. Always a great pickup.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Tychus. Everything about the hero, he's so strong. He was banned out last week, so it was actually kind of refreshing to see different compositions, different styles when we don't have picks and bans going to Tychus.
Yeah.
But Vala Kerrigan, Vala is always going to be a really early pick, but I like the fact that we're seeing Kerrigan kind of come in because she's a playmaker. Stitch is also a playmaker when he's being banned out. Then we're seeing Kerrigan come in because, especially with the style that we saw out of Barrel Boys in that last game where they had so much root potential between Nazebo, Malfurion, and Kerrigan. So much lockdown. And, it worked out, so why not try to do it again?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Vala once again in that second slot for pick number 2. Just about is that still every game? Yeah, it is. So we so far we've casted 7 games. Every single game, Vala has appeared in that particular slot. So,
I mean, you can't be surprised. She's such a strong hero.
The versatility on the heroics, Strafe's really good for that AoE damage output, but if the situation calls for having a stun or if they have too many quick stuns in their team, you always have the Rain of Vengeance, which can set up for some crazy wombo combos, etc. So, yeah, I mean, it's always a really solid pickup there.
Of course.
It's basically like you're going to grab Tychus, we're going to counter with Vala. That just seems to always be the case here.
And just waiting on our next pick here.
Molasses Inc.
Molasses Inc. And we're going to have some molasses cookies when this is done while we watch Mighty Ducks. It's going to be a great evening.
Oh, my gosh. Tyrael Falstad.
Okay.
The early pick on the Tyrael. Usually Tyrael is grabbed up pretty late. They're showing the hand pretty early with this one.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of, we saw that earlier today. We saw teams opting for the, the judgment with the Hinterland Blast, opting for that kind of just blow someone up, especially on something like Kerrigan. If Kerrigan's being an issue, if she's being a threat, you then judgment in and just eliminate her, especially if she's in the front line. That'll just destroy her so quickly.
Yep.
Same goes for Vala. She's in the black line, you just need to destroy her. The times we saw it in the first game today, Rhaegar was actually doing a good job dealing with that with Ancestral, but I don't think we're going to see Rhaegar played in this game.
No, I would guess not. Not. I mean, it worked really well with the double tank that we were watching earlier, because it's just like you're really high health pools, and you can really do a good job body blocking and having that strong front line. Yeah. So it worked out pretty well in that game, and they did lose, but I think it was a cool idea. I do think you still need a pretty specific composition for that, but. So with no Tassadar in play here, you're sort of taking out that quote-unquote half support. So both teams are definitely going to be working with situations where they don't have as much healing as they're used to with that extra healing ward and shield. So we'll have to see, does that make a dive comp a little bit stronger, etc. So things for both teams to think about.
Definitely here. We're throwing the 30-second timer down once again. Going to be a little bit more strict here, and we see Arthas Hammer picked up as the 2 heroes here.
Hammer once again grabbed on Dragonshire, very popular pick here. No surprise there. Actually changing hands this time though, and we have actually seen Barrel Boys grab Hammer. Yes, it was the first game we cast. They actually and their first game versus Cloud9 Vortex 2. They also did run Hammer with good success both games. They did win both of those games that they grabbed Hammer on this map. So. Hey, it's worked in the past. Why not continue to do it? And they also did pick up that Arthas, although somewhat late. Apparently, people are grabbing Tyrael before Arthas. Would have never thought I'd seen the day, but we're looking at it.
Times are changing, ladies and gentlemen, because that has happened. Now, Arthas is going to be played this game on the side. Arthas Kerrigan, that's going to be a constant threat coming out of Barrel Boys. They went for that root style last game, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Malfurion picked up as their last hero, because they do, in fact, need that support. But not to say that Uther wouldn't work equally as well.
Yep.
Brightwing seems unlikely from them just because of what they like to do with this style. I don't think Brightwing complements their team quite as much. And looking at Murlocs Inc. right now, I think they're debating over Uther and Mouth. I think Uther makes a little bit more sense considering they have Tyrael, and they need that burst heal. They need that heal on Tyrael in the front line to keep him up longer, and Mouth doesn't have as much of that, even though Tranquility is a huge ability.
Yeah, I didn't notice this before. We've only seen 2 games with Brightwing in it today.
I mean, based on the style of play we've seen, I'm not really that surprised.
Yeah.
Brightwing, of course, very strong. And we've seen different styles played. We see the Sheth style that we saw earlier, not necessarily the Sheth style, but the style he played, where he uses Blink Heal and Cleanse. Now you're throwing away Regenerative Range, you're throwing away Gust of Healing, and you're getting these just more of like you get in there, you can get them out of the roots, and you still have a good amount of healing.
Hey, what do you think about this?
Zebo and Rhaegar.
Rhaegar.
This, we're gonna see. We're gonna see. This is actually quite interesting. Now, nothing about this at all spells Bloodlust. It's not that it would be bad. I just think Ancestral is going to be the go-to. I think they'll actually... It's tough to say what he's going to get at level 4. Farsight is very strong. Healing Ward level 1 definitely for sure.
Yep.
But I'm intrigued, and we're going to keep an eye on his build, as Rhaegar has been a bit out of the meta. We saw him once today, and we're going to keep an eye on that again for this match. But for the final pick, I think it should be Malf here once again. The one thing I do want to say about Rhaegar is when they have this root comp, like with this stun root comp, he's a little bit... He can get out of situations that other healers can't with Wolf form, because he can instantly mount up into his Wolf form and just get out of that Primal Grasp, get out of that that weird situation, which could be bad for him. So I think that's an interesting choice, and yeah, we're just kind of waiting.
I think we're going to see Uther here actually
over Malf. I mean,
yeah. It's that stun potential. You have Tyrael diving in, and you can walk forward with Uther and just Divine Storm. It is Malf, you're right.
Okay, so the reason I like Malf more is, especially on the Shrines, there's so much zoning potential with that route. And I mean, we've seen great Malf play out of Blinks. You have the Twilight, or excuse me, the Tranquility coming out of Malfurion for that sustained healing on both Arthas and Kerrigan in the front line, and they can just get really cheeky with Tranquility if Malfurion is just sitting behind them. So I think it's going to be Both teams have great comps.
Yeah. We'll have to see how they choose to deal with each other, because you have that dive in, and that's how do you deal with the dive in? Do you zone them out? Do you just back up a little bit and try to make sure you can out heal whoever get dived on?
Right.
There's a lot of ways to deal with it, and there's a lot of ways to approach it. And it's going to be equally strange, I guess, on this map, just because at least of how like the first 10 minutes or so goes with it being very split up, and you have separate teams fighting for each of those shrines, etc. So always a weird one. But we are back, game number 2 to Dragonshire. Murlocs Inc. with the salty run back. They are down a game. This is match point for Barrel Boys.
Yep. And, Murlocs got to come back in. Do they have the ferocity of a bluegill Murloc to just charge on in and take this game? The Hearthstone references. I try so hard. Kubi gives me nothing.
I am without words here.
Well, Kubi, why don't you give us some words about this team?
Words, yes. Okay, so for the blue team, for Barrel Boys, we have McIntyre on Kerrigan. Trumbull is going to be playing Sergeant Hammer. Curse Fury on Arthas. Blink's going to be playing Malfurion, and Fan's going to be rounding it out on Vala.
So much pink, it's actually just beautiful over here. And on the other half of the map, we do have Atlanta on Tyrael. We have Caterpillar on the False Father. We have Echo playing as Rhaegar, Spanker as Nazebo, and Clown will be rocking the Nazebra as Tychus.
Yes, and we'll have to see what kind of lane rotation they're expecting. I'm actually surprised he threw that, because I don't think there's any way anybody could get down there fast enough.
Vision.
Yeah. But, yeah, it looks like they're trying to set up for a gank mid here. And, of course, they have no vision.
Right. But
they're not going to poke out too far, because they can't see where the rest of the team is.
Caterpillar is going to see that and just like, okay, I'll calmly soak. Yeah. Just going to spin circles.
Right.
Like a good bird. And this rotation is happening right now. We see the 3 members, a lot of lockdown available. All 3 of those players can lock down, but the zombie wall is thrown there saying, hey, look, we know you're on your way. Just back off. Nicely done, dodging that Howling Blast. The Death Glow goes out to dismount Spanker there.
So, of course, they do have that 4-man rotation down the bottom. They haven't given any experience up for that because, of course, they waited until that lane was cleared out and then opted to rotate out and just try to get a kill. I suspect they won't be doing that too much because of the presence that Hammer does have in the bottom lane, although she is there by herself right now. They are going to need to set up to try and make sure that they keep that advantage there.
Kerrigan going in hard here, but no follow-up. Primal Grasp goes down, but he's able to dash forward. Nicely done there. Now we do have these 4 members, like you said. They soaked up that middle lane. The second they cleared the last minion, they rotated back down. As that middle lane spawning again, Kerrigan's making her way back up to make sure they don't lose any experience at all, and they're presently controlling both shrines. This is quite big, but Falset is going to be able to hold it relatively well. Howling Blast does hit Spanker. The root is there from Mouth, but a little bit late, and he's able to get out of there. And right now, we have this healing ward already getting a good amount of value.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, you called it correctly, saying that it would be pretty hard for them to cap that shrine, although that does put a lot of pressure on that middle and top lanes, because, of course, Tyrael is going to want to try to take that back. But it looks as though he's being zoned out quite a bit by Vala.
Yeah, I mean, Fan is doing a great job here. Fan had tapped the wall and came back in, putting a lot of aggression on Atlanta, and Atlanta has to be very careful. Druin's might, he can get out of a lot of scenarios, but he's going to be capping that shrine for the time being, and that's just going to signal Fan to soak up the lane and put some more aggression on. Bottom lane, they have to constantly be scared of this kind of rotation pull kind of potential. We see Caterpillar is just on his running path here, and he's going to be backing right on up.
They did choose to pick up that double Envenom. Grab at level 4 talents for Kerrigan and Arthas there. So that makes that rotation down even scarier. We're seeing the Envenom right there, doing a lot of damage to Clown there, forcing him to back up. And this should give them control of that bottom shrine.
Right.
Once again, they will have control of both shrines, but again, the middle shrine is going to be quite difficult for Kerrigan to cap.
But they can put a lot of fear here with this double rotation on Caterpillar. He does have Primal Grasp available and doesn't opt to use it. They're going to be zoning him out with blanks. He can throw the root down his zone, and that's going to be the first dragon of the game, going down at 2 minutes 53 seconds in favor of Barrel Boys.
Yeah, Barrel Boys, they seem to have their strategy down really solid on this map. They look very good on it, and they're nice. Their timings with their rotations coming down to the bottom lanes, making sure that they have both shrines up for a good chunk of time. They give themselves a lot of opportunities to cap these Dragonites early. It just puts a big disruption in the soaking for both teams. They do pick up that EXP lead, grabbing those towers, etc. So you'll see it after this fight's done. Obviously with the Dragonite, they're going to have probably somewhere between a good half level to 3/4 of a level lead.
And it's going to make a big difference. I mean, once you have that level 7 advantage, they can even put the aggression on even more at that point. This Dragon Knight is going to continue to potentially get one more tower. They're doing a lot of damage very quickly, but that tower is going to fall here. Level 7 has been achieved, and those talents will be chosen in just a moment.
Yep. Are they going to get another one? It's going to be close.
Yeah, I think
they're going to go in for a couple more slaps. One. They're going to get it.
Yeah, there
really
it
nice.
goes.
Hey, if you can get 4 towers on that first Dragon Knight, it's for 4 or 5 minutes, that's always a big success for them. So yeah, as you mentioned, we do have level 7 talents for both teams. We have the very typical Smite and Battle Momentum build for Tyrael. I imagine he's going to go into Judgment just so he can lower the cooldown for that. We also have Battle Momentum once again for Falstad. Does this point to another Mighty Gust? I would think not, because there's not really a huge need for it. But
well, if
perhaps
they need to disengage with this crazy root style, Mighty Gust could completely disengage that. But Spanker is in a rough spot here. McIntyre coming with Trumbull on the other side. Spanker has no chance of survival. Echo almost there to heal, but now Echo's in a bad spot. Wolf form used to juke that first Howling Blast. Going out, he throws on the totem and the heal. I don't know if that was the right call. He throws on the Healing Ward as well, and they're just going to smack that one time to remove it. And yeah, okay, well done by Echo getting out of that, but that was a dicey situation.
So I'm wondering if they're going for some kind of weird play with the Judgment, so they could Judgment in, and then when the rest of the team tries to like catch up to, if they can catch someone out of position, maybe Mighty Gust the rest of the team away, or something like that. That could be a setup. But I just feel like you're sacrificing a lot of damage. It may just be a control situation, just to make sure that Nzebo gets a lot of opportunity to use his Ravenous Spirit, etc. So there's some opportunities for it to be good, but it's hard to not see the value that Hinterland's Blast almost always has in every team fight, especially with the Overdrive. But we'll have to see once level 10 rolls around, which both teams are getting pretty close to getting to.
The Shrines are up in just about 20 seconds here. We can see the constant just potential here of this Kerrigan going with the Primal Grasp on Echo. Echo's going to get rooted, and his Wolf form's not going to help him out at all there, as you just got locked down for so long. Losing a member right before the Dragon Shrines is quite
double
quite
Venom,
rough.
man. Yeah. It's so scary. One talent I want to talk about real quick before we get into the level 10s is that Kerrigan did grab Adaptation, which is the ability to dive to your teammates for half the cooldown. So we'll have to see, just if you see her happen to dive to get out of a situation, that may be something that has pretty big effect. We do have Ultralisk coming down from Kerrigan once again.
My goodness! He goes forward, he picks up the kill, but he's very low. McIntyre here is looking for that kill as well. Clown is putting the aggression on, but the Ultra is there that you just mentioned. We see him throw down the Eldrain's Might. Hinterland's Blast did so much damage, Atlanta immediately goes in with Eldrain's Might. He sacrifices his light, but they pick up 2 kills in a scenario where they should have been at a bad spot. They lost Rhaegar right before the Shrines. They're able to defend and pick up 3 kills.
Yeah, that was just a really solid rotation and call from the rest of the team. You're right. It should have been a bad situation for Murlocs Inc. there. And just because the rest of the team was paying attention, they were being mobile enough.
Oh! Jeez. So close, so close. Now, Tranquility is still available. Every other cooldown is going to be, every other heroic's going to be on cooldown at the time being right now. Both Shrines will be picked up by Murlocs Inc. A lot of aggression on Clown. Does he get out? No!
That extra damage there. I don't know if the Arsenal was able to hit him there, but he did take quite a bit more than I was expecting. Yeah, and you guys saw it in that last fight. We did see the Hinterland's Blast there, so no crazy type peel build. Just the battle momentum I still find a bit strange. Usually you just want that extra burst on Falstad, but things have changed now. He doesn't have Rewind at level 13, so I guess they're messing around with new styles of, you know, getting that auto attack just to make sure that they get more and more Hinterland's Blast off than they would have previously.
So even though they managed to pick up the Dragon Knight, they're the ones getting pressured. Levels are even, but they were down a member for a little bit of time. Spanker taking so much damage. He is gonna fall here. The aggression is real. That strafe got so much done. There was no response to it. Caterpillar falling as well. All 5 members pushing in while the Dragon Knight is pushing in the bottom lane. Yeah, they're going to get some experience there, but they just lost 2 members, and they're going to lose a fort too.
Yeah, this is going to point to a pretty large sizable... Oh, Clown, you can't get hit here, yeah. This is going to point to a pretty, at least a 1-level lead, I would imagine, when all things are said and done. Although the Dragon Knight is doing a decent job evening things out. Hopefully he doesn't get caught. There is a big rotation coming down here from Barrel Boys. He should be able to retreat to his fort, yep.
Yes, with Atlanta here, he's definitely going to be safe. And they just back on up, making their way down to these bottom Knights. All 5 members back alive here at this point in time for Murlocs Inc. This game is still anyone's game, but the 1 fort down does not help at all. Caterpillar flying down here to the middle of the map. It looks like we're going to have initiation over these Knights, but they're going to get picked up quite quick.
Yep.
Judgment from the backside, followed by the Hinterland Blast. The cast aside on Phantom, but he gets the heal from Malfurion. We can see the Ravenous Spirit doing so much work. They can't get to him. The Ancestral Healing goes down to Lenny, allowing him to get very aggressive with this. Everyone is in full retreat. Cast aside putting Blinks in a bad spot, but the mines actually knocking back and saving him. Those bullhead mines, very clutch.
Yeah, that fight was so much closer, and that's exactly the kind of fight that Murlocs is hoping to get. A situation where you have Tyrael diving in. Oh, Clown, that was just too far forward, unfortunately. He did get pulled and rooted there from the Howling Blast, but before all that had happened, I would have said that was pretty good. Oh, no.
Wow. Oh, the cast aside almost saving Echo there. False side forced to retreat. Spanker's going to fall.
Oh,
Atlanta,
no.
can he out Ruins Might over the wall? No, he cannot. He gets it off, but he doesn't manage to teleport over to it. Suddenly what looked like a good situation turned horrible.
That was a disaster, that cleanup there for Murlocs Inc., unfortunately. Like, I was going to mention, like, the setup that they had for that fight was really nice. Tyrael was able to Judgment in on somebody that had a nice wall to block out to make sure that the Ravenous Spirit was getting a ton of effectiveness. And, like, had those mines not hit, like, you probably would have been able to chase in far enough to get a couple kills. That would have changed the fight completely. So they almost had it. The positioning was really, really nice from Murlocs Inc., and it was a good call for Barrel Boys to back up in that situation, but just they stayed around a little bit too long. Clown, unfortunately, got caught out of position, and that just led to a huge chase on Barrel Boys' part to pick up another couple kills.
These Giants will be picked up by one team or the other. And there they're
so
getting,
insightful.
they're getting blown up. On the other
Someone's going to get them.
I just wanted to look at the Giants, okay?
All right, I'll give it to you.
They remind me of my father.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, Trummel here going to be capping this watchtower. Looks like it's going to be a change of towers. Atlanta being very cautious. He throws his sword in there. Aldruin's Might. He uses that to go grab it right now, and he's going to see that all 5 are in the bottom lane. They have vision of at least 4 members here, so they know he's safe to do that. Grabbing this again, 1 for 1 on each side. Knight's being picked up by Murlocs Inc. The next Dragon Knight is going to be, you know, a strong one at this point. We're 10 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
They're still not terrifying, but you don't want to lose a team fight right before the Dragon Knight.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just going to lead to some crazy, insurmountable amount of push coming out of that Dragon Knight if you're down in people. You do need your full team up to try and counteract those. We do have a talent tier up for Barrel Boys here, so that gives them a bit of a power spike, especially when you consider things like Blood for Blood going down on that Tyrael, just to get that extra sustain and slow, etc. So they just chose to go with the Tenacious Roots once again.
Yeah, Falstad has flown down to make sure they can't cap the Dragon Knight right now.
Smart
like
play.
you mentioned, Tenacious Roots had extra lockdown. They did go for Life Seed, though. That's a difference. So instead of Shrink Fairy, they're going for the extra sustain there with Life Seed, and we see the increased healing surge there out of Rhaegar. Actually, this is a full-on heal build out of Rhaegar, about as healing as it can get, as defensive and oriented on the heal as possible.
Okay, we see both teams are sort of posturing again, trading shrines one more time. It's probably going to come down to one of the teams picking up a kill as to whether or not they... Oh, we have a little bit of a push coming down here. They can see that a good chunk of the team is top. Do they even have vision of that? Seems a little bit risky to me.
Yeah, I mean, they're just saying, hey, look, you have to come to us at this point. Falstad has flown down. The entire wall is done and blown up, and at this point, they've forced the positioning on their opponents, Murlocs Inc., and they got a good chunk of experience in the process.
That's true. They are a little bit more than a level up. Wow, setting up a bit of a party bush here. Hammer is just way too large to fit in there with the rest of the people.
Ruins Might. Okay, he did it there. I thought he might do it on the bottom one, and he uses that to juke going forward, but he's so far out of position for the rest of his team right now. This is not good. Ancestral Healing's going to have to go down. Does it get off? It does barely get off, and that's exactly what they needed. A lot of damage going down. The Ravenous Spirit is getting so much work. 3 members have fallen on the side of Barrel Boys. Atlanta still alive as well. Wow. I mean, Rhaegar is back, boys. I'm going to say it right now because it can make such big plays like that.
Yeah, that was pretty big. Yeah, you were right. Absolutely. That team fight started out. You had Tyrael crazy out of position. But when he's so far out of position, it sort of makes Nazeebo in even better position because he's that much further away, right? And then once that Ravenous Spirit came down, Barrel was probably like, well, we're not getting over there. And they're like, well, at least we can kill Tyrael. No, wait, we can't because of Ancestral Healing. Everything panned out exactly. That was even better than the fight that we saw down at the bottom by those Bruiser camp there. So that's the type of team fight that they're hoping to take with this. And we're going to have to see Barrel Boys find a way to counter this style.
I mean, it's working out for them. Tyrael being their primary tank, diving in, like you said, splitting up their team like that.
Yeah.
Rhaegar, Tyrael, 2 heroes that have been so far out of the meta, coming in and being a beautiful pair that we're seeing used in this match.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to come down to I guess, trying to separate the rest of the team. They need to have a better grasp on where the rest of the team is. If they let Tyrael get like too far forward, I guess, in that situation where he can get healed up and allow a ton of time for the Ravenous Spirit to go off.
Oh, but Spanker is in a rough spot. The roots are there, and everything has been used. And inside, Spanker is going to take a lot of damage. He's sprinting. Ancestral is used as well to get him out of that. Judgment was used, but Atlanta's definitely going to fall as the Ancestral's not available. This is going to force a retreat out of them, and although it's not terrible to lose one member, this is going to spark a lot of aggression out of Barrel Boys once again. They still have the level advantage, just slightly now, though.
It looks like they're just going to back up and take their camps, and both teams are probably just going to grab their Bruisers and then follow up and take their Giants. Possibly will be a fight over the bottom Bruisers, but it looks as though Murlocs Inc. is going to have a huge leg up getting down there. It is risky for them to do it, though, because they are down that one member.
You don't want to do that without a tank.
Maybe just been checking. I'm not sure, but they were posturing pretty far forward there.
Now cleaning up this bottom, Curious Fairy just going around the back to make sure they're safe. He's going to start on these Knights here. In the meantime, we just see that Murlocs Inc. is cleaning up the rest of the objectives, well, the rest of the aggression across the map right now. Healing up, just making sure they're perfectly topped off in terms of mana and health. And like we said, those Knights were picked up at the bottom.
Yeah, we should see that notification for the Shrines popping up in probably within the next 30 seconds or so. So I think the teams are just going to be playing a bit passively until that time comes. No need to try and push in, especially where you don't have an advantage anymore. Levels are dead even. All team members are up. Unless you pick someone out of position, we're not going to see a team fight for a bit.
Echo going back to get his mana up as they are pushing on down in the bottom. He's just going to get that Hearth off and run back down into the bottom lane. They need to keep this keep alive. If they lose it now, it's going to put them at a pretty decent disadvantage. The experience that is given from it and just the catapult they have to worry about the rest of the game. Yeah. Not something they want to worry about.
Seems
Atlanta,
risky.
Yeah, he's in the front.
It's not even that. I don't like Barrel Boys pushing in here. I think it's too risky for them to do it.
I don't know. Those Bullhead, look at that. He gets rid of all of them with Eldraune's Might. That's actually very smart, making sure he targets those so he doesn't have to worry about them once he goes into the battle.
I'm waiting for Atlanta just to die forward. I think it's going to happen. Here it comes.
The Ultralisk is there, and he gets deleted almost instantaneously. The big heroic is used there. McIntyre is so low, but Tranquility keeping him alive. No, not long enough. That's 1 for 2 currently, but the aggression is still here. With the Thor, though, they might be able to defend this. Blinks, Tranquility is out. What do they have for heroics? Nothing is left here. Only Ancestral Healing, but Rhaegar is presently dead.
Yeah, and they do have that pressure. The Odin obviously does have a lot of presence in the fight there. I mean, their setup for the fights they're pretty good. And had they been able to get that Ancestral Healing off again on the Tyrael, it would have been a bad situation for Barrel Boys. I really didn't agree with them pushing in that lane. Yeah, they had some camps to push with, but it just seemed like an unnecessary risk, especially when you consider that the Shrines are up. They could have easily backed up and taken these.
I think that I agree with everything you're saying, and I think they would have been in a much worse spot if Rhaegar didn't poke forward the way he did. Rhaegar got too close, got pulled in by the Kerrigan, and got erased before he could do anything. Rhaegar didn't get a heal off. Maybe threw down a healing ward, but Ancestral not being there, the Judgment was forced to try to save Rhaegar. Just ended up being kind of a bad start.
So, I mean, it was the right play on Barrel Boys' part to see the opportunity to grab Rhaegar, make sure that they kill him. That's fine, but you can't guarantee that situation.
I agree with you. But, 1-to-1 Shrines right now. Level 20 has been achieved, and we can look at the level 20 talents.
We do have Bolt of the Storm for Kerrigan and Vala. We have Storm Shield for Malfurion. Legion of Northrend. That is the upgraded name for Army of the Dead.
Ooh, Atlanta has to use Eldraune's Might to get out of that situation. The Bullhead Mines constantly being an annoyance here, and both Shrines are in favor of the blue team right now. Barrel Boys, and they're going to try to get a Dragonite. McIntyre, can he do it?
Yeah,
he can.
Okay, so that is the 4th Dragonite of this game for Barrel Boys. We did see Murlocs Inc. grab one of them earlier in this game, but they have been doing a very good job with the map control, making sure that they have control of those Shrines going forward, and then they've got the push to show for it. They have that keep down in the bottom lane. There is still 1-4 available for Barrel Boys, so I mean, that's kind of been the story of the game. That's why they're ahead right now. They're ahead in kills for this exact reason.
Okay, we see the upgrades on pretty much all the heroics except for the Ancestral. They're going for Storm Shield instead. 20 hit just in time to defend here. This is do or die for Murlocs Inc. This is tournament point. We see the Judgment go down, followed by the Hinterland Blast. Strafe is doing a lot of work, but Tranquility is negating almost all of this damage. Blinks is so low. I think he still has Storm Shield available if he needs to use it, but he's saving it for a more clutch situation if he needs it there. Basically, he's healed to full. Multiple heroics used. Atlanta getting picked off, rooted down, and blown up. Dragonite in the front still has half its health, and they are going to try to end this game. The roots to help zone. McIntyre punching one on out of there, and the core is getting so low, 50. That's going to be it.
That entire last team fight, it came down entirely to a ton of talents that have been picked up. They were just all burst healing. Malfurion had the Storm Shield, Protective Shield, the actual heal itself from Regrowth, and all of those things added up to Tyrael diving onto someone, and then all of that damage, including the Hinterland Blast, the Overdrive Hinterland Blast that's always following up those attacks. He had a net gain in HP when that was said and done. So that really just completely countered that. I was like, he's not losing any health. Oh, right. And then we also had the Ravenous Spirit going off, but the Dragon dealt with that almost instantaneously.
That was the big problem. That was, I think, probably the biggest problem there was the Ravenous didn't get the amount of work that they kind of relied on. And honestly, I like the idea of this composition, but I'd like to see it with Thrall instead of Nazeebo, because I think Sundering is a more guaranteed long-range burst instantaneously. If you Sunder, then Judgment, then Hinterland Blast, I think you can really find that target and just eliminate it.
And if you hit a couple members of the other team with the Sundering, that's a 1.5 second stun. There's no way to save that person that's getting Judgmented on. So yeah, there's some potential there. I get it. I think that the idea was that you dive in with Tyrael, and the focus now becomes Tyrael, dealing with Tyrael and saving the person he dived in.
We saw that one time.
Then you have a huge distraction for Ravenous Spirit to go off, but they wisened up to that, Barrel Boys did, and they had an answer for that Ravenous Spirit every time. So,
well, guys, that means Barrel Boys will be advancing to our finals of Face Symbiote Gaming.
Absolutely.
Looking at the bracket here, we can see that Murlocs Inc. had a great showing, but they were rolled over by the Barrel Boys. The death glare I'm getting from Kuvi is beautiful. And Barrel Boys versus SMG will be our grand finals here of Kings of the Storm weekly number 9. Now, guys, this is the last qualifier before Kings of the Storm 5, which will be, in fact, next weekend.
Yeah. Wow. I'm excited. It feels like it's been forever since Kings of the Storm number 4, so I'm really excited to cast another big monthly. That means double elimination bracket, that's always more fun. You can get to see people climbing their way back out to that losers bracket, more chances. We get to see who the real champ is, and we've got a lot to prove from every team here.
We do. So on that note, though, we're going to throw to a quick commercial break, guys, getting ready for the grand final. So once again, tell your friends and family to check out some Blizz Heroes action. The game just went into beta, and there's lots of chances to get into the game and get involved. So go let them know this tournament's happening. Best of 5 series. This is going to be it for the last qualifier.